Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. This is the time traveling toy collector, and this is the Behold Galvatron Unicron Companion Pack from Hasbro, part of their War for Cybertron Transformers range. And what a beautiful piece of packaging. I've kept it in the packaging for now. I thought I'd do this as a sort of a live unboxing, or as live as we can make it here. For context, this is a redo, if you like, of the War for Cybertron Galvatron figure, which looks really good. There's some photos on my Instagram page, and it looks really, really good up against some of the other War for Cybertron figures, and of course the Studio Series 86 range, which really keys into my love of Generation 1 figures from the cartoon, well, though obviously originally from the toy line, which I collected back in the 80s. This was originally, when it was announced, this was a figure that I thought, you know what, I'm probably not going to go after this because it's a little bit bonkers. And a little bit crazy, and you may have seen my video for this already, but I did pick up the Transformers Red figure, which was reformatting Megatron, just because I was again on the wrong side of the fence for that one, and then I saw a couple of reviews of it which changed my mind, given that the figure itself doesn't transform. Picked it up, and actually I really loved the effect, and I really loved the way the model scaled in terms of a through line of evolution from Megatron to the reformatting version into War for Cybertron Galvatron. So then when this was announced, my spider senses were Transformer senses were very tingly, and I thought, well, actually, I've gone from thinking that I don't want this to now thinking it's almost an essential display component. I should say, in the interest of total transparency, that I don't have the Hasbro HasLab version of Unicron, which this is a companion piece to, in so much as, my understanding, it's got a lot of accessory pieces that do go with the Unicron display base, i.e. it's got some additional miniature starships and some of the very, very, very mini robot casts as well. That said, I do have the Arc figure, which has a mini cast Optimus Prime, and it does have the Arc bridge, which can accommodate those figures. So to all intents and purposes, I'm able to use them somewhere. So fingers crossed, I'll be able to show them off to you at some point when I do a bit of a look at the Arc, which I've held off doing, although I think it's a fantastic figure. I've held off doing, knowing that along the way I was going to pick up some of these small figures. So I thought, well, actually, I'll wait till I can show off the bridge element of the Arc with a few more figures. Although at the point of recording this, I haven't yet seen the figures. I have done a preliminary incision into the box so that it will open with relative ease and we won't have any awkward moments. But let's first of all just pick up on this box, because I've waffled for about 3 minutes and not done any actual discussion. So like with some of the other special releases, it comes in this sort of well, all I can describe it as is a brown cardboard box with some artwork on it, although the artwork really is spectacular. You've got a very lovely Toon-esque Galvatron there that does sort of carry on around the side of the box. You've also got Unicron popping up here. War for Cybertron trilogy there, with of course Cybertron neatly included, and some of the figures floating through space. My guess would be that that's an allusion, perhaps less to War for Cybertron and more the birth of Galvatron, which, as we know, well, or we may well know, was actually first seen during the Transformers the movie of 1986, which I think perhaps more is where those figures hurling through space, what that might be alluding to. So yes, so the whole pack is called the Behold Galvatron Companion Pack. There it is there on the official label that seals it. As I say, I've made the initial incision already because, as some of you will be aware, I end up being quite phobic about managing to just ruin things on camera. Camera does get in the way, but here we are, unbox. You see now already there's even more artwork on the... Oh, hello. Right, so let's do this this is good. So in 2 installments, installment 1, here is some more artwork inside the lid of the box, and it's a beautiful rendition of Galvatron with that sort of Tron-esque backdrop there kicking in, of where Unicron does actually recreate, remold, and, well, ultimately reformat the characters that he engages with. War for Cybertron to get up there. And from what I've seen other reviewers who've looked at the HasLab Unicron, this box and its style is very much in keeping with that. So there's a through theme there, and I can already see sneaking in here the rings of Unicron as well are a feature there. So that's clearly going to be part of the artwork when we go a little deeper. So talking of going a little deeper, we've got a separate section here which I'll pull out in a moment, and there is the main attraction himself, reformatting Galvatron, who does again look a little bit like he's stepped straight out of the Tron movie. So let me just first of all take this box out of here, move this to one side. I will relocate the figure into a more suitable presentation area shortly. So this is, I'm guessing, where all the accessories are kept, because I can't see any in the main box unless they're tucked underneath the main figure. There's not much of a clue in the noise. So again, this is supposedly going to be a range of figures and the starships. It doesn't come with a stand. There's another box in there. Oops, has that just torn? It has. That's really annoying. Oh, well, never mind. And this box contains, maybe it's the blaster. Yeah, this box contains absolutely nothing, so it's just a bit of filler that can be repaired from the inside. So okay, so we've got an empty box, and we've got some paper. Now this looks a little bit like a freshly wrapped piece of chips, some chips, fish and chips. So I'm not too sure what we can expect from this. It's also okay. So there's the blaster. So we've got the blaster. That's also cast in the sort of translucent pinkish plastic, and we've got the theme of the reformatting design captured again in the socket that will hold it, attach it. Then we've got the 2 additional blasters that can join up to form the starship, and also the additional gun system that can attach to his alternate mode, and they're also cast in that translucent plastic. Let's bring it a bit closer so you can have a really good look, and we'll do a bit more on this shortly. Oh, okay. Next up we have, I don't know if you can see that, apologies. Next up we have the various ships, and the Matrix, apologies. So we've got, gosh, this takes me right back. So we've got the Quintesson ship, we've got a slightly differently detailed version of Galvatron ship with you can see the silver tips to the weapon systems there, and they've got the segments that will allow them to tab into the display base that comes with Unicron, that I therefore naturally don't have, but then again that's fine because these are still nifty little pieces. We've got a Matrix attachment also cast in the same translucent purple, and the purple plastic is there again for the chain. I mean, I'm delighted to have this with the figure. A part of me wished it came with its own display base for those people who didn't have Unicron from HasLab, because actually reformatted Galvatron wouldn't, in the continuity side of the story, he wouldn't have one of these. Doesn't make sense. But let's not dwell on continuity because we could go mad. So they've just been sort of interlaid, a bit like Pass the Parcel, so I'm a bit worried that I'm just going to find them all. Yes, I am. They're all a bit, gosh, they're all a bit loose. So we've got Dinobots. I mean, they're actually quite, yeah, I think I need to go quite close and explore these in detail in my own terms. There's Grimlock. Wow. Well, I've got the Dinobots, which is exciting. I don't know who some of them are yet because they're too small. Goodness me, they are. Let me see how much I can zoom in for your benefit there. There we go. Take a look at that. Yeah, so we can see we've got some. I mean, to say that they're intricate, they're well detailed is considering the size and scope of the figures is one thing. I think I'm going to have to just look at them either in a separate video, or I'll just use them for photography purposes. But I will try and give them a place on board the Ark. So yeah, that's the contents of the Transformers, of the accessory pack. I am a little. I'm developing figure anxiety that they're just going to go missing, or and what mustn't happen is that any of the dogs get near them, because that would be outrageous. So I'm just going to pop things back together again here for now. And I'm still a little bit amused by the way that it's just wrapped up in brown paper. And we'll come back to the main event. The main event itself being, well, behold, Galvatron. And already he's still obviously still attached in the box, and he's a phenomenal figure. Let's take this out. Sorry, Galvatron, we will get you, I promise. A bit more artwork. And so there's the nice instructions. I'm going to guess that it's probably the same as the Cybertron, the original version. Do not eat the small parts because they'll choke you. And here we have some very detailed Unicron artwork. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. So, moving that out of the way, move this over here. So here we have, he probably won't stand up in his box at the moment, but then we shall adjust that accordingly momentarily. But here we have, fresh out of the box, Galvatron. And I think this is a really beautiful figure, against a wonderful bridging figure between the reformatting red release of Megatron and the recent Kingdom release of War for Cybertron, Galvatron. This is a really, really nice bridging element within that. And of course I'll get him out of these binds. String, let's call it string, considering I think it is actually this time around string now. So I'll get him out of these ties that bind him very, very shortly. But just, I mean, I think we can see there that, you know, the detailing on the face is really good. That you can see already the level of intricacy of the panel working, and the use of the translucent plastic along with the molded plastic is really great. And that detailing, that outlining is pretty incredible on the paneling. It really is something I never thought we'd see as a figure, let alone a fully transformable figure. And it's a shame in some ways. It brings home the fact that the red version of reformatting Megatron can't transform. But again, we won't dwell on that peculiarity. Let's just have a quick spin around just so we can see the back. Yeah, there's nothing too shocking there. The treads again are pulled out in much the same way with the design, as is the back of Galvatron and the little sort of pokey bit that's behind his head. Not much else on display there. So I'm going to free him from these ties that bind, and then we'll have a look at him up close and personal. So here we go. So here he is at last, freed from his binds within the box, and I think he looks absolutely spectacular. We really can see the intricacies of the detailing and the panel work here, and how the light pulls that out. I think he looks absolutely stunning. I'm going to do a little pan down so you can get the whole thing. I want to stay quite close into the figure, so I appreciate I can't get the whole thing in at once for you, but that's mainly so that you can see the quality and the level of the detailing. Because if, for example, you are like I was, wondering whether or not this was a figure possibly worth investing in, because again, it's a bit of a considered purchase, then I think it's only right and proper that you get to see it all, warts and all. So far I'm not seeing too many warts, but that's probably because I'm literally just still very enamored with what I'm looking at. So let's go a little bit more pragmatically, and let's take Galvatron in hand and work our way down. I have to say, much like with the red Megatron, and I'm not going to carry on talking about that, I promise you, but the detailing here is really special. It's really spectacular, and it's a figure. In some ways, the cynic could say, well, it's just another means of getting cash out of the Transformer fan community by coming up with this figure. And you know what? I mean, I love the detailing in the even down to the legs, the translucent plastic. It follows through the whole design of the figure. There is probably there could be something in that around the cynical view perspective that this is the product of capitalist conspiracists who want us to be paying for the same figure 15 times. You know what though? You don't have to buy it, and you also know what? I think this is something again that only ever appeared in my imagination as a kid. So when we saw Galvatron looking sort of like this, alongside Megatron looking sort of like he does on the red figure, as Unicron works his magic to reshape the whole thing, it was the stuff of imagination. It was the stuff of inspirational play. We couldn't necessarily reenact it with the figures, our action figures and toys at the time, but goodness me, we certainly can now. Now, I know lots of other reviewers are out there, and they'll show you in detail the wonderful array of articulation. But again, from a toy photography point of view, there's a lot you can do in terms of posability. Again, putting him into context and into interaction with other Transformer figures is going to be interesting, because one could arguably say, but this version doesn't interact with other characters particularly, other than possibly Scourge and Cyclonus, as they're being reformatted from whomsoever they were before, and there's I won't be joining in that raging debate anytime soon. But I think this is a beautiful standalone figure. He does transform into cannon mode, and various other potential iterations of fan determined additional looks, which may or may not have been intentional. But I think from a display point of view, this is where the character is. The character is in this mode, because this is Galvatron as he appeared in his sort of translucent reformatted variant. So I personally am really, really happy to have this figure in this mode to display. That said, and in the interests of, well, transparency, I suppose, I will transform him into cannon mode, so I can comment on how straightforward or not that is. I seem to recall finding Kingdom Galvatron relatively straightforward to transform. I do worry a little about the translucent plastic holding up over time, possibly with a lot of transformations. So again, I think I may well limit those from a collectible point of view, and leave him in his robot mode more often than not, other than for the purposes of some photography. But I think really his strength in terms of the power of his appearance is going to be in this robot mode, this reformatting robot mode. I do, as I said, I don't have the HasLab Unicron. I do have the Studio Series 01 Unicron, that of course isn't Unicron at all, but maybe looks a little bit like Unicron, maybe. So I do have scope to create a bit of a display with that Unicron figure and these emerging Studio Series 66 and War for Cybertron figures that will interact and can interact together, and who knows what Transformers Legacy will bring as the start of the new trilogy. But yeah, in terms of figure, this is terrific. I think this is the price point's a bit steep, but you're not just getting the figure, you're also getting, of course, the additional companion elements to their HasLab Unicron that also are compatible with the Ark, that also provide you with some mini ships that you wouldn't otherwise get your hands on. So all in all, is it worth it? For me, yes, I think so. But let's see what he looks like when we get him. Just stand there for a moment, please, Galvatron. There you go. When we get him into cannon mode. So let's give that one a whirl. So here we have Galvatron in his cannon mode. Again, as I mentioned, this probably wouldn't be the display mode that I would go for in terms of reformatting Galvatron. But I do have to say, it falls off because it's a hefty piece, you know. I do have to say it is still very impressive. I'm going to try it without the turntable because I don't know that that's necessarily lending much to the demonstration. So here he is in full cannon mode, and you can still see all that wonderful detailing picked out beautifully in terms of the sort of digital reimagining of Megatron's body into Galvatron's. These two sections here either side are optional. Of course, you don't have to have them on there. I've put them on there just because the instructions tell me to. But I think it holds together really well. Transformation. There were a few stiff elements, and that's one of the reasons that I don't tend to show the transformation element, because I don't want to waste your time on a video where you're already giving me about 20 minutes at least of your time to watch and hear and see and take a look. So I don't want to waste your time with me being incompetent in terms of transforming. It's again some of that adjustability in terms of the level of aim. There's a nice little sort of area here which could house another Transformer figure if you were to give the effect that it was like a cannon. What do I want to call it? A cat, like, so it could be manually operated by one of his compatriots. It's not the heftiest of hefty figures, but it does have a real presence and a real weight to it, and I think I really do love the level of detailing and the way that the translucent plastic really pops in this colour scheme. It is, to me, fantastic. I don't know if I'll ever truly like and enjoy this particular mode as much as I did the G1 version, purely because that was the version that I had when I was growing up, so it's sort of embedded on me and in me. But this is very evocative and is kind of what I would see as the modern day equivalent. So it certainly delivers, as does of course the sort of standard edition War for Cybertron Kingdom Galvatron, who looks, well, structurally exactly the same pretty much in transformed mode, apart from the colour detailing naturally. So yeah, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful figure. I think it's I would say it's potentially niche, but maybe it is potentially a little bit niche, purely because of the way it fits into the story and development arc of Galvatron, as in it's from a very particular point in his creation and his development, and in terms of on screen in the movie, because we haven't seen him in a format like this, unless I missed it, in the War for Cybertron trilogy, in any way actively. I won't be doing some side-by-side comparisons in this video, just because I don't want it to overrun unnecessarily. Some of you are rolling your eyes because you feel it already has, but thanks for that. I do think it will stand up well against the others, and I will give you a chance to see some of that in some upcoming photography that I'll do with this figure and some of the others you may have seen on my Instagram page, Time Traveling Toy Collector, that I have already used the Core Class Megatron and War for Cybertron Megatron, the red Reformatting Megatron, and Galvatron from Kingdom War for Cybertron range, in a sort of evolution of the figure, a set of photos prior to having this one. Now I've got this one, I think I'll be reshooting that with all the figures, so you can have a look how that scales and how that looks and works in due course on my Instagram page. I know I said that I probably wouldn't display him like this, and I sort of stand by that, but by the same token, I wouldn't be anti. I thought I would be a bit anti it, to be honest, but I'm not. I'm surprisingly not anti it. So I may well come back and recreate some very nice Galvatron Canon photography as well, in the fullness of time, when I figure out how I can weave this into a shoot. Anyway, I hope this look at fresh from the box, behold Galvatron, has given you some close-up insights into whether or not this was a figure that you would be interested in getting your hands on, in case you were unsure. Whichever decision you've reached, I hope that this has helped you reach it. If so, please do click on that like button. It does send a message, and it does help me and the channel. Similarly, whilst you're there, why not subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future Robo reflection, or indeed any other reflections on other toys, models, etc. that you may have some interest in. I hope this has been of use. You have been a wonderful audience. This has been War for Cybertron, behold Galvatron Unicron Companion pack, and I am, as ever, the Time Traveling Toy Collector, saying that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to you joining me again in the future for another video. In the meantime, take care, keep safe, and bye for now.